Good evening to all of you, and welcome to the one last presentation for the month of August. So that implies we are slowly heading towards to the very end of this year 2022. And let me begin with the market performance, and then we'll have a look at the key economic highlights from local front and some important news from the global market front will also be shared today, as usual. So, starting with the market performance for this week, market gained a huge traction from the investors during Monday's trading session, with both the indices going up by over 1%, whereas SPI index gained 111 points to close at 9,087.59, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 43 points to close at 3,007.70. So Expo was the biggest index mover and that contributed to around 27 points to SPI, and that was followed by a LOLC and 8 pence. So foreign participation also increased and foreign buying was topped at Expo, whereas selling was topped at Mills. So during the Monday's trading session, turnover reported a value of 3.1 billion, and that was increased to 4.9 billion during Tuesday's trading session. But anyhow, the investors, the tendency or the market momentum was turned somewhat into negative from Tuesday's trading session onwards up until today. So SPI and S&P SL 20 index during Tuesday's trading session incurred decline in points, whereas SPI lost 16 points to close at 9,071.53, and S&P SL 20 index also declined by 17 points to close at 2,989.78. And that was basically due to the added selling pressure on profit realizing, and majority of the investors kept on realizing profits. And apart from that, some other investors entered into a wait and see approach ahead of the interim budget that is scheduled to be present in next week. So with that, market experience slight of a negativity throughout the week apart from Monday. But anyhow, with the increased selling pressure, the Tuesday's turnover has increased to report a value of 4.9 billion, close to 5 billion. And but anyhow, during rest of the days in the week from Wednesday to Friday, turnover levels were somewhat stagnated and range in between 2 billion to 3 billion. And indexes, both the indices, SPI and S&P index declined. And during Friday's trading session, SPI declined by 34 points from the previous close to close at 8,793.39, and S&P SL 20 index also declined by 2 points to close at 2,863.75. So despite the decline in index and despite the decline in overall turnover levels, foreign purchases notably pick up, especially during Friday's trading session. Foreign purchases reported a value of 476 million with the boost from Expo. And throughout the week, foreigners sticked with buying side and they reported a net foreign inflow of 607 million. But anyhow, with the negativity from the local investors, SPI declined by 2.03% for the week, and S&P SL 20 index declined by 3.38% for the week ended 26th August 2022. So let me take you through the Treasury yields for this week. All the yields in three maturities have reported in increase in basis points, whereas 3-month Treasury yield now is at a value of 30.51%. It has gained 107 basis points from its previous value of 29.44%, and 6-month yield is 29.51, and it gained 55 basis points from the previous yield of 28.96%, and 12-month yield is 29.83%, and it also gained 69 basis points increase from its previous week's yield of 29.14%. Exchange rate, looking at the Sri Lankan rupee compared to that of the four currencies we are concerning here. Apart from USD, compared to GBP, UR and JPY, Sri Lanka rupee reported some sort of an appreciation, but compared to that of USD, it was a slight depreciation. So dollar held strong for this week, and that reported sort of a decline in the gold prices as well. And I'm going to talk about it in the global commodity front next. So, some key economic highlights for the week. The government of Sri Lanka has imposed import restrictions, renewed import restrictions on products under 360 categories as of the Imports and Exports Regulation Act. So, that particular the restriction is effective from 23rd August onwards, but anyhow, the products that have already shipped to Sri Lanka are allowed to clear until 14th September. So accordingly, the products at the products under categories of personal care, ceramic, milk and chocolate, alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, some packing items, electric and home appliances, and the machinery items that was uh, specified in the sort of the announcement that was issued by the government under temporarily restricted lists. So until upon a further notice that are held to be restricted to import to Sri Lanka. But anyhow, imports from the enterprises operators under temporary importation for export scheme and BOI exporters are, however, allowed to import in order to continue their export oriented activities. So we expect this could benefit the local manufacturers, but there is some sort of issue with the dwindling demand due to the unaffordable price variations, because that can have a negative impact on the overall demand. As you all know, when there's a scarcity in the market with regards to a product, the existing products, the demand will goes up, and as accordingly price will go up in an unaffordable way. That's what happened to majority of the commodities here in Sri Lanka. So with that, that sort of a dwindling demand effect can be expected from those commodities which are locally manufactured. So, but anyhow, on a negative note, with the import restrictions that are prevailed on confectionery items which the hotels and the tourism industry participants are using, those can be negatively affected on such industries and companies, and also the restrictions on construction materials also can have a negative impact on construction sector. And apart from that, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has reported that the national consumer-based price index has soared up to 66.7% during July 2022, which was 58.9% in last month, June. And the said pickup in the overall inflation was basically attributable by both the inflation in food categories and non-food categories. So for the month it ended July, food inflation was reportedly increased to 82.5%, whereas non-food inflation increased to 52.4%. During the month of June, that means the previous month, food inflation was at a value of 75.8%, whereas non-food inflation was 43.6%. So compared to that of June, all the figures have been increased. And as mentioned in the previous week, CBSL is giving their fullest attempt to maintain inflation at a range between 60% to 65% without exceeding it 70% above. But however, with the previously said restriction on imports will drive local manufacturers to seek tremendous price hikes in order to match with the demand. So that can have some sort of a negative impact on soaring inflation in Sri Lanka. Uh, and apart from that, a team from IMF has arrived Sri Lanka to meet Sri Lanka's president to talk about finalizing IMF bailout, including the debt restructuring program. So we hopefully wait it to get the approval before the very end of this year 2022. And that are the basic points from the economic front. And let me take you through some international news. So, looking at the commodity markets, oil prices gained back to $100 per barrel this week, and that was due to some lowered recession fears with better than expected economic figures from US. But the gains were somehow capped by the upcoming speech of Jerome Powell at their conference that is supposed to be held this week. And the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City hosts dozens of central bankers, policymakers, academics, and economists from around the world to its annual economic policy symposium in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And the Jerome Powell is supposed to give his keynote speech at the symposium on Friday, and from the Washington time, it was around 2. And this was the in-person conference for the first time since the spread of the pandemic. So investors are looking forward for the speech of Jerome Powell to get an idea about what's the going forward and what will be the moves of the Federal Reserve in order to seek rate hikes in order to tackle the inflation. So with these particular things, with these particular speculations, gold prices also, despite increasing, it's witnessed some sort of a decline during the week ahead of the Jerome Powell speech today. And copper prices, however, advanced for the week. That was due to some China's latest effort on stimulating their economy. And looking at the international financial markets, after a couple of winning sessions, global stocks have incurred losses for the week. So that was even with the hawkish monetary stance and the sober signals on this hawkish monetary stance by Federal Reserve, and majority of the world investors are looking forward for the aspects where the Jerome Powell is expecting to deliver at the symposium. So with that, overall market seen some sort of a decline throughout the week. And so that are the basic points that I got to share from my end. Here onwards, Harin will continue the presentation.
Thank you, Sachini. Good evening to everyone. So let's look at XAU USD, what has happened during this week. So as we had Fed Powell's speech, we were able to see how the price of gold actually gets declined from the area of daily resistance, 1,750, 1,760, where we can clearly see a fair rejection from that area. We currently have a structural formation that was recorded on 22nd August 2022, which is 1,727.85 US dollars per ounce. So if the price manages to test that area and further break down, we'll be able to see the daily support level 1,700, 1,710 key area being tested. Once again, that 1,700 key area is a very strong psychological area, because previously we were able to see in the month of July how the price actually got rejected and reversed to the upside of towards the daily resistance 1,800, 1,810. So likewise, if the price remains bearish below the daily resistance 1,750, will be straightforwardly able to see the price getting declined towards the daily support 1,700 key area. If the price actually remains to continue or remains to be bullish, breaking above daily resistance level, we'll be able to see it creating new structure highs and testing the daily resistance of 1800. As I add my moving averages, which are 8 and 18 moving average, 8 and 18 moving averages, you all can clearly see that the price is initially trading below both the 8 and 18 moving averages, which indicates a bearish momentum. And also the RSI comes to the level of mid-range, which is actually 41 at the moment, as the market is trading at the moment and it's open. So the moving averages actually indicates that the price is actually trading below the moving averages. So the bearish momentum could could continue its way towards the structural low formation, and then breaking below that, we'll be able to see it moving towards the daily support level 1700 key area. So overall, gold is quite declining, and we can clearly see that we have a trend line, declining trend line as well, where that trend line has been tested previously, somewhat around in the beginning of August, where we can clearly see a rejection from that area as well. So moving on to the all share index. So the index failed to sustain about the daily resistance of 8,950, 9,000, 9,000 being a strong psychological area once again. After making a structure high of 9,284.11 on August 16th, we were able to see that there was a lower low formation on 17th August and a lower high formation again recorded on 23rd of August. So this necessarily means that the index could lower its momentum towards the daily support level 8,450, 8,500, or either test the 100 EMA if the index crosses below the 18 moving average, which is the red line that you all can see. So today we were able to see that we have some sort of a rejection from the 18 moving average. So therefore we might be able to see it testing the daily resistance 8,950, 9,000 once again, and a breakout above that area could lead the index to test the structure high that I mentioned previously, which is 9,284.11. So rejection from this daily resistance, however, rejection from this daily resistance could indicate a further bearish momentum towards the daily support 8,450, 8,500. So long as the index remains above the 100 EMA, we do have a clear idea that it could be medium term it could carry a medium-term bullish momentum. So therefore, index needs to sustain above the 100 EMA and also test the daily resistance once again, 8,950, and a breakout above only that key level only will be able to see it carrying its bullish momentum short to medium term once again. So we have the topic of the week as MGT, which is Haley's Fabrics PLC. So looking at from the daily chart, what we can see is we had a clear rejection on August 22nd of August, which made a structure high formation of LKR 42, and rejecting the price got rejected from that area and came below the daily resistance 39.40 and trading above the daily support level 34.35. So at the moment, the price seems to be trading below 18 and 8 moving averages as well. And the RSI is in the mid-range, which managed to close at 52.96 for this week, ended 26th August 2022. So therefore, we have a clear indication that this bullish trend line that we had previously has been broken out, and a retest was there to confirm that the price is actually trading in between the daily support level and the daily resistance level. So if today's low, which was Friday's low, if it breaks in the coming week, we'll be able to see the price moving towards the daily support level 34.35. Else, if there's enough liquidity and if the buyers actually push the price above the certain key levels that are drawn, 37, 37.5, we'll be able to see it testing the daily resistance 39, 40, and further breaking that key level, we'll be able to see that the price could actually test once again the August 27th of August high, which is LKR 42. So that's the clear projection from my end. Thank you. I hope you all have a great weekend. Please do subscribe and like this video.